And in the Raw Dog Royval, he gets the undefeated Tatsuro Taira, which almost feels like a punishment after beating a former champion, Brandon Moreno, and then, having that championship fight with Alexandre Pantoja. But I think what they're really trying to do is they're trying to build both fighters. If Brandon Royval can stave off an undefeated 16-0 prospect who's going to be the pride of Japan, AJ, his stock goes through the roof. But at the same time, it almost feels like they're kind of feeding them to Tatsuro Taira because this dude is a phenom grappler. And when he gets his hands on you, oftentimes dudes don't make it out. So I wanted your initial impression. Minus 195 was the open for Tatsuro Taira. Fair?
Very fair, Derek. I mean, especially if you're looking at the type of competition, right? Especially lately in the odds, we've seen stuff that's off the jump, right, for the main events, minus 230, minus 300. This right here for Tatsuro Taira, especially at 17-0, is a very respectable price. And if he's able to get this against the Raw Dog, man, you're going to see him up in that 230 to 300 mark that I was talking about.
That's steep right there, man. But you're right. This dude's got skills. But when I look at this fight, I look at Brandon Royval having one asset that Tatsuro Taira just hasn't quite ran into yet. And it's the guy that's nonstop. It's the Energizer Bunny, right? It's the I'm in your face. I'm breaking you down with pressure for 5 rounds. I will not stop. And oftentimes, this is what's tough about Brandon Royval is the thing that he's best at is the thing that can be his worst enemy in this fight. Because if you're forward, if you're nonstop throwing stuff, throwing kicks, all that stuff, right? Awesome. But if Tatsuro Taira grabs you one time, this dude's jiu-jitsu and his just overall grappling transitions and scrambles are so elite. He's locking these dudes up. Look what he did to Alex Perez. Took his back, did that little weird shift and blew the dude's knee out. But it all came from just getting his hands on him one time. How can Brandon Royval use that pace to his advantage, use that cardio pace without getting grabbed?
He's going to have to work off the jab, Derek. We know Raw Dog has fast hands, but staying long, staying lanky, and just working off that jab consistently, throwing some kicks, throwing some T-kicks, especially working the body, throwing some stuff up the middle to the breadbasket, having Tatsuro Taira think, is that a knee or is that something that's going to hit me down here? Like this, getting him thinking, showing him something that's different. And another X factor, I was thinking about this one, Derek. Yes, the pressure works, but also the relentless chaos, if you will, that Royval presents. He has that X factor where things happen that not a lot of people expect that he can get done. And with a technical fighter like Taira, that could also be a problem right here.
When you take a look at the numbers right here, I mean, Royval is going to be a little bit bigger. Reach isn't quite as long, but if you look at anything that is notable right here, it's going to be the stance, southpaw. And then number 2, it's going to be the significant strikes landed per minute. Like you said, he's always in your face, being able to put himself in a position to just bring chaos, man. But what's the one thing that Alexandre Pantoja did when he fought him, bro? He said, you can be as chaotic as you want. If I can get your back on the mat, it does not matter. So jiu-jitsu here. Royval, 6 scrambles, but is this a fight where he cannot afford to make it to the ground at all? Like the ground is lava in this matchup. Is that fair?
Absolutely lava, Derek, 100%.
All right, well, let's break down these numbers then, man, because this seems pretty binary to me. That would make Royval the striker in this camp. That'd make Tatsuro Taira the grappler, but Tatsuro Taira also thrives. He thrives in just like a technical kickboxing match, right? So the uglier that Royval could make it, the better for him, ideally. Counters, tie clinches. This all has to be in your mind when you think about, all right, what prop can hit right here? Tatsuro Taira, since he's the favorite, since he's the consensus pick, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you, man. I like the plus 135 submission right here. If you look at Brandon Royval, when's the last time the man has lost via submission? It was to Pantoja when he got choked out to Pantoja, right? The dude doesn't get submitted a lot, and he has good grappling right here. So plus 135, do you see value in Taira being able to get this out of there relatively early? Because we're going to have to start looking into some overs and some unders right here to kind of couple along to bring real value here. What do you think?
I think, especially for the submission, Derek, at plus 135, it's going to have to come early, going to have to come by surprise while there's still a little dry going in there, and while Taira is still strong. I mean, if you're in 4th and 5th rounds, you might not have the gas tank that Royval has because he's going to keep that pressure going.
Dog, looking at it now, it's funny you say that because Taira has only gone 3 rounds three times in the last 10 fights, right? And the last one that he had against Edgar Chairez, right? He put it on him the whole fight, but you did see he got caught up in a little guillotine at the end, right? Like you do gas, you do fatigue the longer the fight goes, and especially if you're doing a lot of grappling and it's just ineffective, right? Like it's like you're controlling, but you're not able to actually find that finish. So if we're betting on the Royval side of things right here, man, is there any prop that looks enticing to you while I pull up the over-under?
Ooh, strictly props, Derek. I don't know if he's going to be able to get a knockout on Tatsuro Taira because he's so technical in the stand-up and in that kickboxing range. I think the prop that makes the most sense is by decision.
All right, then 3.5 rounds. I imagine you're taking -125 with the over, yeah?
-125 for the over for sure.
Brother, there's something that tells me, man, and I don't want to be too aggressive here, but that under -105, if a submission happens, I really see it coming earlier than that. I don't see it coming later. So that's the camp we're playing. We're saying if it's a submission, it gets done early, but we're leaning decision if he can't get it in the first couple of rounds, yeah?
Yeah.
Sheesh, man. All right, fair play. I don't really have much else to add on this one. I know that we know who we think the victor is going to be. And give me a final take on this one, man. Stock rising. For Tatsuro Taira, if he wins this one, we're pretty much saying you're ready for the championship, right? You beat the number one contender. It's pretty much as simple as that. So what does the stock look like on both ends of this? For Taira, future champ type situation, but for Royval, with a big win over this, what does it mean? Does he get another title shot immediately next?
No, unfortunately, I don't think that's necessarily the case for Royval. I mean, he's fought Pantoja twice, so there could be in the works for another championship fight. But I just think this is one of those ones where it solidifies Brandon Royval as that top dog, not necessarily gatekeeper, but gatekeeper into the top 10, into the top 5 upper echelon of the crowd.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty fair analysis right there. Brandon Royval, the more you look at it, brother, it looks like they're trying to feed you to the dogs, but we're a fan of him over here. So with that being said, that is your main event. Luckily, implications don't matter. We're looking to make money, and those are your plays right there. Submission prop, write it, +135 if it goes early, or if you just want to be a little bit more general, feel free. -125 on the over 3.5 rounds.